All right, let's dive right in and unpack India's union budget for 2026. We're going to go way beyond the headlines to show you where the money's coming from, where it's all going, and most importantly, what it actually means for the economy and for you. Let's start with a really simple idea. Just imagine for a second that the entire country shares one giant wallet. Well, the union budget, that's basically the annual game plan for how that wallet gets filled up and how every single rupee inside gets spent. It's kind of like your household budget, just, for a nation of over 1 billion people. So the big question is, why should you even care about this super long, kind of complicated document? Well, because whether you realize it or not, the decisions packed into these pages have a very real impact on your everyday life. So what is it officially? It's the government's annual financial statement. Think of it as a massive roadmap that lays out every single source of income, what they call revenue, and every planned expense or expenditure for the whole next year. And this is really the key takeaway here. The ripple effects from this budget touch pretty much everything. Seriously, the decisions made here can change the price of your groceries, they can fund that new highway being built in your city, or they can determine how much support a cool new tech startup gets. It really does set the economic tone for the entire country. Okay, let's get to the heart of it all, the nation's checkbook. This is where we follow the money. We're going to look at exactly where it's coming from and then where it's all being spent. First things first, you have to remember that no budget is made in a vacuum, right? This 2026 strategy has been shaped by what's happening in the economy right now. Are we looking at strong growth? Is inflation a major concern? What are global markets up to? All these things set the stage for every single financial decision that follows. So where does the government get its money? Well, if you look here, the biggest slice of the pie comes from the goods and services tax, GST. After that, you've got income tax and corporate tax as major contributors. And another key source is something called disinvestment. That's just a fancy word for when the government sells its shares in public companies to raise some cash. Now for the fun part, where's all that money going? As you can see, infrastructure gets the biggest chunk, which means funding for things like new roads, bridges, and railways. After that, there are huge investments going into defense, some really crucial social welfare programs, and of course, significant funding for both health and education. Of course, trying to balance the books usually means we'll see some changes to taxes. This budget is hinting at a few key updates. The income tax slabs that you and I fall into, those might shift. Corporate tax rates could be tweaked a bit, maybe to encourage more investment, and the whole GST system might see some refinements. These aren't just random numbers. They're the levers the government pulls to steer the economy. Now, here's a number that you're going to want to watch, the fiscal deficit target. In simple terms, this is the gap between what the government earns and what it spends. So why does this matter so much? Well, a lower number is a good thing. It means the government doesn't have to borrow as much, which is a sign of a really healthy, disciplined economy. Hitting this target is probably one of the biggest challenges of the whole budget. A budget is so much more than just a balance sheet. It's also a vision statement. It's a blueprint for the kind of future the country wants to build. So let's take a look at what that vision is. A massive piece of that vision is sustainability. There's a really clear strategic path being laid out here for a greener economy. We're talking everything from promoting renewable energy sources like solar and wind to funding specific sustainability projects and even giving businesses incentives to adopt cleaner technology. And the budget isn't just focused on green energy, it's also doubling down on India's digital future. We're seeing brand new incentives to boost the digital economy, some dedicated funding for really cutting-edge fields like artificial intelligence, and really importantly, support systems designed to help tech startups not just survive, but thrive. But this vision isn't all about technology and green initiatives. At its heart, a huge part of this is about people. There's a significant portion of the budget dedicated to strengthening the social safety net, with new and improved welfare programs designed to support citizens and improve the quality of life all across the country. Okay, so we've looked at the income, we've looked at the expenses, and we've talked about the big vision. So now let's get to the bottom line. What does all of this actually mean for the country? And more to the point, what does it mean for you? So if you had to boil it all down, what's the 30-second summary of the 2026 budget? Well, at its core, it's all about future-proofing the economy. It's pushing for growth through green and digital innovation, all while trying to walk that tightrope between being financially disciplined and providing social support. When you look at the big picture, the potential upsides are pretty clear. A real boost to infrastructure and green tech, a friendly environment for startups, and a stronger social safety net for everyone. But there are always risks. Managing that fiscal deficit is going to be a huge challenge. Inflation could easily become a problem. And honestly, the success of all these plans depends entirely on how well they're implemented on the ground. And that really brings us to our final thought. The budget, at the end of the day, is a roadmap. It's a statement of intent. The numbers are all there, the plans are made, but its success, that all comes down to execution. So the real question isn't just what's in the document, it's what kind of future this plan will actually build.